Chapter 12. Lack of interest in love. The lack of heart that puts trust in the other person. Our image is different when we're outside the house and when we're inside the house. When outside, we make the effort to reveal our strengths. However, we don't make this effort inside the house, and there are many times when we're disrespectful toward the family. This is why love becomes destroyed. Satan's spirit has gone into the place where one lives by enjoying the love of God, and Satan's spirit is destroying such place. Satan's spirit has gone inside the place where one must live by laughing in genuine thankfulness and joy towards one another. But Satan's spirit is going around disconnecting relationships. We are not able to open our eyes, and we're being deceived. Problems happen because we think too lightly of the family. And the heart of putting one's confidence and trust in one another is disconnecting. I want the other person to love me, but I try not to love. I want the other person to do well, but I try not to do well. So the problem starts there. We also say things to our family thoughtlessly, things we shouldn't say to them. The heart that puts faith in the other person should be stronger, but such heart decreases, so the family becomes destroyed. The heart that puts one's faith in the other is lacking, so perfect love cannot be found. Genuine happiness must arise from the family. Love must arise, starting with the family. If we dialogue by putting ourselves in the other person's shoes, there is never a reason to turn our backs. The closer we are to the other person, the greater respect must arise from the heart. When love does not come out. When would the happiest time in our lives be? It is when both husband and wife see each other as lovable and have confidence and trust in one another. Each person mustn't do things that cause confidence and trust to decrease. For peace to come to the family, we must go to the level of giving one another this faith and confidence. Hell is when love doesn't go to the other person. Starting from the time a family member is looked at with hatred, it is hell. Interest disappears, and while interest disappears, peace also disappears. When there is a couples fight, until they make up, peace does not come. When they make up and forgive each other, peace comes in search. Is the heart not joyful when love goes to the family? When love does not go out, the heart is offended and hurt. If love does not go out, the inside of the spirit has already become a lonely and dried up place. Because the inside is dry, love does not go out, and interest in the other person disappears. No matter how the other person is, love must go out. However, this love is not something done by human strength. We experience difficulty not because we have to eat and live, but we experience difficulty when love doesn't come out from inside. Love has dried up, so lack of interest. Ephesians 5:25 says, "Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it." Just as husbands love their wives, Christ loved the church. God tells us to be like Jesus, who tore his body and spilled blood and water. If only the husband loved in this way, who wouldn't obey the husband? Why wouldn't one honor and serve such a husband? As time goes by, many families break apart in the era because love is drying up. That love dries up means there is no interest in the other person. Now is the time to turn our eyes to the family. We must pay careful attention to the family with love and interest. We must not make the excuse that we can't pay attention because we are busy with our work. Since love has dried up, there is a lack of interest, so we must restore love again. Language of speaking thoughtlessly to another person. Is not the image with which I confront other people and the image with which I confront my family different? When it comes to other people, we always make the effort to be careful with even one word. Towards the family, however, there are many times when we speak words in any way without much thought. Having been so close to one another for a while, cautiousness disappears in this way. After going on in this way, we speak unconsciously and carelessly to family members. We speak thoughtlessly and cannot even think about how a family member's heart might hurt. We don't think at all about how our words might get conveyed to a family member. We don't even think about whether the other person might undergo pain or difficulty because of words I thoughtlessly spat out. This is why interest dries up in the family, and the connecting hooks of love become disconnected. If we're careful to those inside our family, in the careful way we are to those outside the family, there's never any noise in the family. If the family is noisy, there's definitely a problem, and such thorn must be taken out. This thorn must be removed, yet we don't regard it as important, so we don't think about taking it out. But this must certainly be taken out no matter the sacrifice. For the family to be restored, my blood and sweat must go into it. We are not able to realize this because we can't open our eyes spiritually. The person upon whom God has rested is not my possession. Because that person is God's possession, we can't treat him or her in any thoughtless way, even if that person is my family. Even the language we use with people in our families is not to be blurted out in any thoughtless way. Shifting responsibility to the other person. Love going out from inside me is the greatest blessing. If I say, the other person is being like this to me, does it look like I can love him or her? This is the same as Adam and Eve in Eden shifting the responsibility. From inside, Satan eggs us on so that I think I'm right, and the problem is always with the other person. When God asked a question, Adam's answer was not about himself, but the other person. In Genesis 3:11-12, God said, "Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree that I commanded you not to eat from?" The man said, "The woman you put here with me, she gave me some fruit from the tree and I ate it." We must realize from where problems originate, and they must be uprooted. Since we always say the cause is with the other person, problems can't be resolved. While Satan evades, Satan drags in another person. Because daily living is like this, problems don't resolve. Satan consistently continues the curse of the family. God continues the family in blessing, but Satan continues it as curse. Shift the responsibility by saying, "The other person did this, so what could I do?" is not a good thing. This does not serve as a reason before God. Excuses are not in the same line of communication with God. We must never make the sound of shifting responsibility to another person. Only the sound of being interested in one another must go out. When God asks something, he asks about things just the way they are now. He asks as one-on-one. He does not ask the reason. That is why the life of faith is one-on-one with God. If he commanded that we love no matter what, we must not shift the responsibility to other people. I must only love and abide by such word.